Behind me is the Jackdaw pub used in the 1969 film The Battle of Britain. Of course, the real struggle against Hitler's Luftwaffe took place in the skies above Kent in the hot summer of 1940. Kent is dotted with memorials of the battle, both well known and almost unknown. Behind me, for instance, is the former officers' mess at RAF Hawkinge, which is now completely deserted. In the weeks leading up to Remembrance Day, we decided to have a little tour across Kent and have a look at some of the famous memorials and some of those that are not quite so famous. John Platt is one of the volunteers at the Manston Spitfire and Hurricane exhibition who keeps the memory of the heroes of Fighter Command alive. 85,000 visitors a year come here, and John will tell you exactly what they see.
Well, we try to keep the memory of not only the machinery but the people who flew the aircraft as well alive. It's very important because these people were 18, 19, 20 years old and they were giving their lives away. And we are here doing what we're doing today purely because of what they did then. And it's important to keep that memory alive and to remember what they did for us.
Manston was in the front line of the conflict in 1940 and was one of the most important fighter bases, wasn't it?
Not necessarily, no. There was a variety of aircraft here, but it certainly was the most bombed airfield in the whole of the United Kingdom. And it was also useful because it had a good weather record. And when other airfields were unavailable, aircraft could land at Manston.
Can you tell us a little bit about the fighter behind us, the Spitfire?
This one here, this one didn't take part in the Battle of Britain because it wasn't built until 1945. But it was flown mainly by a Canadian squadron and it shot down 4 German aircraft. And
you recently had one of the pilots who actually flew the plane come here.
We did. He came over from South Africa and he was the first person to fly this aircraft. And 84 he was, an absolutely fabulous, wonderful man. And he had a few tears in his eyes.
What sort of stories did he tell you?
It's funny, the pilots don't normally like to talk about what they did. Now, I inquired with a group of them. We have the Aircrew Association meeting on the first Tuesday of every month here. And because of a book I'm writing, I asked, could I come in and sit down and listen to what they were saying? And they said no. But then after, one of them came over and said, will you understand why I said, or we said no? It's because what we did is very personal to us. And unless you've lived through it, you wouldn't understand. And I accepted that. So the chap who came, who was the pilot of this, he didn't tell us very much about it. I assume because it was personal.
But he had quite an emotional reaction when he was here.
Oh, he did. There were tears in his eyes. And it must be fabulous to see that, you know, after so many years. And it's the last time he'll be here.
The Battle of Britain Memorial, high on the cliffs at Capel-le-Fern, is the nation's monument to the pilots of Fighter Command. Its centrepiece is the sculpture of a pilot gazing out across the English Channel, remembering his fallen comrades. And as well as a replica Hurricane and a Spitfire, the memorial contains a wall with the names of every airman who took part in the battle inscribed upon it. Before the invention of radar, these concrete ears would have been the first warning of a Luftwaffe attack on Britain. Perched high up on the hill above Hythe, they caught and amplified the sounds of approaching German bombers and would have then alerted Fighter Command. But prior to the battle, radar was invented by the British, and that proved to be one of the significant factors in the defeat of Hitler's Air Force.
Enemy aircraft ahead!